It did. She had these black pants on and this big yellow ball stuck between her legs.
Oh my God.
Well, that's an entertaining shot.
And
Wow.
I said to her, I need you to come on a conference call tonight because no one's going to believe it. Because there's no way I could do this. But I did say, can I have your permission? She said, yes, I can tell the story. So
Right.
that was my
I figure you wouldn't make that up. That's got to be true. I just want to know, when you hit somebody with a ball, like when you hit it perfectly and you hit somebody in the head, does that give you a lot of pleasure?
Yes.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm guessing by how much he talks about it.
Yeah. All right, William, your turn.
I mean, everybody knows me. I don't think I add much by giving it.
Tell us something that we don't know about you.
I was born a poor black child.
You're like the jerk. You're the jerk.
These cans all have holes in them.
All right. There's a rumor going around that you played professional football. Is that true?
I would be the ball, maybe. Kicked from one end to the other.
And why are you such a big Djokovic fan?
Oh, he's amazing. He's amazing. I think he's been I saw him play in Miami before anyone knew his name, and he was playing Nadal. We were sitting out in the heat, and the guy, to me, was the best returner of serve I've ever seen, including Jimmy Connors. And that summer I went to Dubai for a while with my friend, and we went to what was a British pub to watch Wimbledon. And I told my friend, watch out for Novak Djokovic. He had never heard of him, but he always remembers. So I think it was because I saw him early on. But what I love about him now, he's the modern Muhammad Ali. I won't get into his decision, but he stood by his views. They took three of his best years away from him, and he's still winning. And he's a good man too. Today, when he won, Dimitrov was sitting over on the sideline crying, and Djokovic, they're interviewing Djokovic. Djokovic just said, "Excuse me," and went over and hugged Dimitrov. And then later he sat with all the children that do the ball boys. And he always has time for signatures. He helps the younger tennis players because they don't make money. He helps all of them. So I think he's a really good man.
Okay.
And I love every time he makes a new record.
I appreciate you kind of because I hear you support him, and that helps me. So that gives me good reason.
He lost. He's also, not legal advice. It broke my heart hearing your mother's story from you, but Novak Djokovic's world was destroyed by war. He had no childhood, and my dad served there, and my dad came back one time. My dad was the highest up for United States, and he said, "Bill, I go to these prisons or these outdoor, and they have the Muslims behind the gates, or they have the Bosniaks, and these young men and women, they've had no childhood."
Yeah. I was gonna. Yeah, I know. That's another thing I was gonna say is it's just my mom's high school years were in Auschwitz, so that was a different childhood than I had. I always respected that difference. So I understand.
The story you told that just broke it really broke my heart, and I just felt is that she walked out of Auschwitz alone. Everyone's dead, and she's walking out of there as a teenager. I can't imagine anyone in our entire ken that could experience such suffering. It now I'm saying I sound so bland, but when you first said it, I nearly lost it. It's a horrible thing. But
for me, it was that was my. I grew up that all the people I knew were the same. They all had the same background. So,
how does your father say his name? Ham or Chaim?
Chaim.
Chaim.
Chaim with Uh-huh.
Hi.
All right, Ace, let's move on to you. So tell us something.
Man, I don't even know where to start. I'm surrounded by all this greatness. You guys all have a little more life experience than me, but I mean that in a nice way. No, I just called you old.
Oh, a little dig.
I was trying to say it in the most backhanded way possible. I honestly, I'm just, I guess I was trying to think of something you guys don't know about me. I guess you guys have these amazing past, like just talking about where you came from. And I'm a first generation American. My dad came over from Austria. He was running, his father was running from the Nazis. And anyways, just it just really instilled in me a resolve, he did, to just really cherish this country and what it's founded on. And so I always just that's why I'm here. It's a big reason why I don't mind staying in a fight and seeing it through when things are tough and crazy. But I believe in it, and I believe in and you never pick your fight, right? You just kind of fall into it, and you just say yes or no. And so that's kind of where I'm at. So some of my viewers know that, but I don't know if everybody knew where I came from. So
Hey, wait,
great.
I have to say something about, you guys coming over. My dad landed on Normandy in that complete mess. And, he's 18 years old. He landed, the whole sea was red, and he made it over. And
That's the Saving Private Ryan.
that's where my dad was. But he said it looked fake. It was so crazy. He said it looked fake.
wow.
And he made it over, and my father just began killing Germans, taking their watches and selling it to the Russians, and sleeping with the French bald prostitutes. That's what my father did.
So is that you're saying who your mom was? I don't know.
And my dad, before he passed away, told my son that, and my son always remembers it. And my dad told me, "Yeah, I slept with the bald-headed French ladies." I'm like, "Oh yeah."
That's a great
funny.
story. All right. So I'm going to take us to a unusual topic. I'm going to ask Ham a few questions first, so maybe you can answer. So now I'm asking you about GTII and finger motion. All right. So I'm going to throw out 5 quick questions that I don't think you've ever heard that maybe you can answer. So one, is it the same pattern? What will go first? Are there any naked shorts in any of these plays? When will it happen? And what will the price be tomorrow?
Oh my
Answer
God.
those questions. All right. GTII. You kind of posted something about Alpine pushing back about a short squeeze. Why don't you tell us what you kind of found out?
Alpine, I don't recall saying that.
You put a tweet. I think I saw it today.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I must. I maybe I was thinking about. My question was to you to actually give a short answer to everyone about what you felt about Alpine and what they're doing.
Oh, I can do that.
That's what maybe that's what I was talking about. But as far as GTII is, if you just want to touch that for a second, and I told Ace the other day on his call, if these idiots keep attacking it and selling the stock in volume below $1, the way they're trying to, well, they started it on Friday. The stock popped to 70, I think, on Thursday, and they beat it down immediately back to below 60. So I was like, if there is a God, please let Finger go, because these idiots will give everyone an opportunity to make a fortune in GTII if they're trying to hold it down, which they already showed their hand. They're trying already.
Yeah.
So it'd be the play would be, it's great now. It would be out of this world if Finger goes and they're holding GTI down, because they could sell us 30 million shares here and would make it 5 times greater. So, I mean, that's what I'm looking for. And they actually started doing it on Friday already. So you can see that's the pattern. So there you go.
There you go. Maybe it was finger motion that one of the shorts had complained, or had maybe apparently complained that the company was trying to do a squeeze.
Yes, someone who's got pretty good scoop told me that Lynn Partner's attorney contacted Finger Motion's attorney and told them that they were orchestrating a short squeeze. And the company was like scratching their head saying, what are you talking about? If you're on our side, what are you so concerned about? And they were pretty concerned that the company was orchestrating a short squeeze, which the company they have no idea about the equity markets. But that's what Lynn Partners, and you can take that to the bank. I'll mark that down. You can mark that down, that what I'm telling you is you can take that to the bank.
It would be interesting. I think Lynn Partners would be open to the fact that they'd be willing to put up their conduct with the conduct they're claiming that the company engaged in. They'd let both be investigated? Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
That's what I just told you. I'll just tell you is a fact.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what day it happened, when it happened, but the gentleman that told me is a pretty good guy, and I think he would have complete knowledge of this. And as he was telling me, he was laughing. So we all said the same thing. I said, "You kidding me?" He said, "Nope." So there you go.
So you asked me about GTII, and I think I put up about a bunch of videos about all these people are filing briefs in the Alpine FINRA case because all the organizations like FINRA are concerned that if the way the case stands, this is where we're at. The issue is in the federal court, they denied an injunction. And that's what the appeal is about. Even though the injunction was granted by the appellate court, the appeal is about the denial of the injunction by the lower court. So that's what we're doing. And within that case, there's an appeal that's pending. And there have been about 10 different parties that have filed friends of the courts brief. A bunch of them are similar to FINRA, and some of them hate FINRA. That's been the dichotomy. And I've gone through a whole bunch of them, and basically the ones that support FINRA claim that they're not state actors and they're private and there's no constitutional violations. And the ones that despise FINRA say that they're state actors, they're bound by the Constitution, they were not properly appointed, and therefore their judicial system should be restructured. That's kind of where we go. But within all of that, it turns out, amongst other things, and we found out different things as time goes on, but we found out most recently is Alpine engaged in violations of the Bank Secrecy Act. And the SEC ended up pursuing them, got a judgment for $12 million, a $12 million fine. That went up on appeal to the Court of Appeals, and that was sustained. That was a final judgment. So a $12 million fine was imposed and final against Alpine as of the end of 2020. At no point in time, as far as I know, has the SEC tried to collect that fine. And I was looking at the numbers for Alpine, what kind of money they would generate. If they had to pay a $12 million fine, they would probably be out of business. So I don't know why the SEC doesn't try to collect it. But over and above that, that whole bank secrecy stuff was designed to prevent terrorism and money laundering. It was post 9/11. And so they found, at least up and through 2017, thousands of violations of that by Alpine. And since 2020, as far as I know, nobody's checked. No, not only has nobody collected that 12 million, but nobody's checked to see if they're still violating the Bank Secrecy Act. And as far as I know, it's certainly more relevant than it has been at any point in time because of concerns about people crossing over from the border, and that, maybe everybody who comes illegally into the country are good guys, but maybe only 99% are. So maybe there's only 1%. So if in fact, like companies like Alpine are supporting terrorism by money laundering or putting capital outside the country, that feeds into that, that's not only a disgrace, that's not only illegal, but that puts all of us in jeopardy. Really, physical jeopardy. And why the SEC, the DOJ, the Department of Homeland Security has not acted, I don't know. And obviously I have a horse in the fight because I own GTII, obviously. But this is kind of separate and apart from that. And I think really is a risk that we are facing that's not addressed by anyone, as far as I could tell. Any opinions from anybody?
It helps Goldman Sachs so they don't fight it. Anyway, that's my opinion.
I think that they're hiding some. I think the fight against FINRA, they're trying to get everybody focused to go attacking FINRA while they're moving assets, Richard. There's no reason for these guys to begin this fight to try to take FINRA down and spend any money in the courts. They're doing something behind the scene. That's, I'm not a detective, but I'm not an idiot. So something is going on. These guys have stolen money. They've robbed everyone. Everyone I spoke to, and Ace, you would never know this, or Richard, but people have done things in the small caps for a long time. As you fight through this battle, all you ever hear is, "Oh, Alpine robbed me. They robbed me. They robbed my clients. They robbed this one. They robbed that one." So for the Kramers to do business with them, everyone under that roof is there because it's the Wild West, and you have to pay the top guy, Alpine, money. So obviously that's what's going on. So there you go.
By the way, I agree that Virtu Capital are scumbags too. Just my opinion.
Everyone on the street knows that guy's a bad guy.
Go ahead, Ace. You were going to say something. I'm sorry.
No, I actually just I was basically going to say the same thing William was going to say, and I was just remarking it. Very interesting what Ham said about how Alpine's just been known for a long time to be a crook. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it. I mean, this is like amazing. I find this amazing. This is not like a close call. Just think of it, that a company that's in business, I like going through this litany because it just points how big these guys are. Literally the biggest scumbags you could find on Wall Street. 40 times disciplined by FINRA and the SEC from 1984 through 2021. Then
I'll give you something. Okay, a gentleman called me up. He was an IR guy. He got paid stock by the company to help promote the company. He did his job. The stock went from 50 cents to $3. He put his 200,000 shares in. It's a guy like you, Ace, a regular guy. He put his shares in the system through Alpine. He had to pay a fee, a lot of money to put his stock into the system. And when he went to go sell his stock, Alpine was shorting it in front of him. He could never make a sell. So they were front running because they knew he had the stock. And they every time you put an order in it, they go short it in front of him. Eventually, they drove the stock down from 3, and they bought the guy's 200,000 shares from him 40 cents because the guy needed the money to support his family.
Jeez.
So they stole everything in the middle there. And that's just one case. And I hear that all the time from everyone who ever dealt with them. So I could put people on the phone. They all say the same thing. They rob everyone.
Yeah. So
it's crazy.
Just think about it. So when I say they got penalized, that means they got caught.
Yeah.
So just imagine, basically they ran an illegal, this is my opinion, right? I would say from 1984 to the current time frame, there was probably never a day where they didn't run an illegal business. Just my opinion, because somebody who gets caught that much has to really try to get caught. It doesn't just happen by accident. So just think about it, 40 times penalized by the SEC and FINRA, and then the Bank Secrecy Act violations, thousands of those. And then after that, stealing $55 million from their clients. That's the history. And then throw on top of that, they have a sex offender that they try to get to represent them. That's this company. And somehow the SEC, FINRA, the DOJ, Department of Homeland Security, FBI lets them still exist. Really? There is no excuse. That is an embarrassment to this country. Really?
Well, you've got a cop asleep at the SEC, not a cop on the beat. He's a cop asleep. He said when I was there in Congress, sitting behind him, he said to Sourpuss Maxine Waters or one of the questioners, he said, "We'll do what the courts tell us to do." And this people erupted. Wait a minute, you're the head of the agency. Well, we'll do what the courts tell us to do. And he tried to start the whole thing by saying, "Everything I say is my own opinion. I'm not here speaking for the SEC." The guy is a weasel.
Yeah. And also, there's a case that's going to be heard November 29th, which is before the U.S. Supreme Court, which is going to challenge the SEC's legal arm. And so it made it all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. And I guarantee you that the SEC is not just accepting what the court's going to say. They're going to argue a particular position. They're not sitting there quietly. So that stuff where they accept the court's decisions, it's not quite as black and white as they say. They try to influence and change the court's opinion.
Are we allowed to write amicus curiae briefs?
You can.
But I don't know anything, right? That's the argument.
Well, you have your own opinion. It's whatever. Listen, whatever somebody else is writing is equally as valid as whatever you write. Honestly, it's, just an opinion. The court will look at them or, may consider them or may not. But you might want to go to that hearing, by the way, William.
When is it? On the 29th?
On the 29th. It's the only hearing on it's the only hearing on that day. Juraski versus the SEC.
All right, I'll go the 29th.
Yeah. Right. And it'll be interesting because if that case rules against the SEC, that will impact FINRA and every other self-regulatory organization, because they're one step removed from the government and they're acting like the government. Mm-hmm. Kind of, it's funny because one of the arguments in one of these briefs about why FINRA should not be treated like a governmental entity is because they're privately funded, privately organized, and privately managed. But what they didn't mention is they get governmental immunity. Mm. So I'm okay with the first three if you're on the hook if you screw up, but you get immunity too. That's not right. So anyway, as to the Alpine thing and GTII, so obviously there's a lot of parties that are interested because they're going to be affected, and it's unusual because it's not about the outcome of the case. It's about the injunction. So this is not about somebody decided that one side won or lost. This is about an interim thing.
What was the injunction?
The injunction was stopping FINRA from being able to do an expedited proceeding to expel Alpine.
36,000 violations in a year is not enough.
35,000 violations after the Bank Secrecy Act violation and after being penalized 40 times. Yes, that's not enough. I don't know what is enough, but that's kind of where they are. So depending on the outcome, if FINRA wins, Alpine may just go through the system and then at the end of that, then file another appeal. Because there'd be no reason for them to do it at this point in time. If Alpine wins, FINRA will file an appeal to the Supreme Court. And I think the Supreme Court will hear the case because they're hearing that Juraski case about the SEC. So this is about FINRA. I think there's a good chance they'd hear about it. But in the meantime, these MFs from FINRA could go out and just shut the doors on Alpine. And that's what they should do. And there's no reason for them not to do that. And besides me occupying all the time, yapping away, does anybody else want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to change the subject. We wanted to just touch on it and not the whole criminal career Alpine. Got it. We know they're bad. I want to go
All right.
straight to the news about South Korea
Yes.
banning naked short selling. They've been bubbling over on this for a while, and you're going to get all the critics come out and say short selling is good for the market, and I'll be the opposite, telling you short selling is complete fraud. Everything around it, they hide it in secrecy. The whole thing is just a stock loan. Everything around short selling is all criminal activity. It's all run in the dark. There's not one thing. There's not one thing that's public about short selling. All right. The only thing public about is we see someone borrowing the shares, never ending in finger motion. As soon as they borrow 100, there's another 100 for sale that they can borrow, and as soon as they take that, there's another 100. So the whole thing is complete fraud. I don't need a short seller to tell me when something's overvalued. Ace may need it, William may need it, but I can tell you right now, if someone knocks on my door and offers me $3 million for a house that's worth $600,000, trust me, they'll have it in 2 minutes. I'll sell it to them.
Unless you have to ask your wife.
I'll be dragging her by her hair. Trust me. I don't need a short. I have to wait. A short seller's got to tell me it's overvalued to sell it.
I think it goes till June. I think I read today. I think the ban goes through June of 2024, and I think it correlates to some election they're having also. So it was tied to that.
William, everybody. I'm sorry, William, Ace, Richard. You're going to see stories that short selling is good, and this ring around the short protecting companies from shorts is not going to work. That's all the stories you're going to see. It's always, I guarantee you're going to see 6, 7 negative stories written by reporters.
They're just protecting us, aren't they?
It's not. They're crazy. It doesn't work. Stop doing it. That's what you're going to see.
At one point in time, I guess the theory is, and I know to me it sounds like BS, but the theory is that it gives liquidity to the market. So you guys have been around for longer than Ace and I in the market. The market, not longer,
much longer. Let's just say
longer than I, but in the market, yes. So was there a time where the short position actually served the purpose? There was a liquidity shortage, and it actually served the purpose.
You used to. I'll let him answer, but you used to have an uptick rule, and you used to have to fight the long. I mean, there was research, there were trading desks, there was compliance, and you had to deliver. And so you didn't get these endless. You could cheat a little bit, and there was some, but you didn't get these endless movement. What they do is sell stock that doesn't exist, and then they leave that alone and move it around. They sell more that doesn't exist, and they sell more. And the apologists say, oh, check the no-bo list. Oh, they have systems in place. But nobody can beat hundreds of millions of shares being sold in any stock, particularly when there's no natural buying against it. The Merrill Lynch rule wipes out all buying. There's no buying. Anyway, I'll shut up, Am.
The Merrill Lynch rule, so you understand, if the stock falls below a certain price or market cap, no one in the Merrill Lynch system, meaning people that clear through Merrill Lynch. So if you're Richard or Ace or William have a brokerage firm and you clear Merrill Lynch and you own XYZ Corp, if it goes below that number or the market cap, everyone has to sell it. Merrill Lynch will let you carry it in their system.
Yeah.
So the short sellers knock them all down below it, and Merrill Lynch helps because they make everybody sell the stock. No one's going to move their accounts, so they just sell the stock. So they become self-fulfilling. Anyway, that's a rule that they created. Merrill Lynch did, and Merrill Lynch has only been sanctioned for naked short selling many times. So again, they all do this stuff, and I just wanted to go back to the South Korea thing. What happened in 2008, they put a ring around the banks, and they protected the banks from being shorted. No one could short the bank stocks because they were all getting destroyed back in the day. And everybody was screaming, what about us? They only did the bank stocks. All the other companies, it's open season on us still. And they just kept saying, oh, it's never going to work. The system needs these guys. And that's the same thing you're going to hear about South Korea. because they don't want it to gain any momentum around the world. Wherever the DTC is, touch it. These systems have all been set up by the DTC, and the only place the DTC doesn't have its greedy fingers in here is in the Middle East, and they're trying to do it.
Why don't the markets close for more than 3 days at a time?
Well, they don't want stocks to actually settle.
Isn't that for the banks though? Also, because they don't want to run on banks.
Well, the
So
most
they think-
market the market is continuing that settlement, so it's a CNS. It never stops. It's like a shark. It's got to keep moving. So they never stop trading, and they have to. If they wanted to, which we all agree on, shut it down for 4 days, settle everything up. Like, for example, if you were to buy crude oil, okay, and your contract comes up, and you sold it short on expiration, you have to deliver the oil.
Yeah.
Or pigs or whatever it may be. You have to physically deliver that. And the equity market is there is no settlement, it just keeps going.
That makes absolutely no sense. I mean, the shorting would be fine if they had to settle in 2 days. Then it's perfectly fine. I'd have no problem with it. It makes no sense.
The other thing they've taken away is knowing your customer. They do these toxic financings, and you don't even know who the buyer is. The basic laws, the basic rules of working on Wall Street, you had to know your customer. You had to disclose your customer.
Right.
You don't do it anymore.
They don't. That's exactly right. No one knows. For example, the guy from in the GameStop video that works for Share Intel, the chubby guy, he worked at Morgan Stanley. He said, "I naked shorted every day." Well, I look at it this way. Well, Fatso, give us the name of your client.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who's your client? Give him up. I says, I never did it. I had tremendous clients. And I had to go to my back office and see if I could short a stock and call back my clients. Hey, listen, I can't take your order here because we can't borrow the stock. And I lost business over it.
Yeah, I don't.
But here, it's the Wild West. Do whatever you want. No one cares.
I never play the don't pass line in craps. I feel same thing to me. That's the shorts. Who wants to play the shorts? I was going to say, you were talking about you alluded to the banks, banks being too big to fail. I don't know if you said exactly that. And I was looking at, I think it's Norway in 2008. I think it's Norway.
They let the whole thing, right?
They let their big banks fail, and they supported the citizens. That was the way they approached it. And they ended up, everybody was much better off. And too bad the big banks went bye-bye, but that was it.
In Iceland?
I think Iceland did the same thing.
Iceland, or
maybe it was both.
Someone posted it on Twitter. I read it recently too.
Yeah, it was definitely Iceland for sure. Did it? They prosecuted too.
Right, they did. Right, that's correct.
Yeah, I mean that's what we should have done too. And the citizens would have been better off. Probably less inflation, less corruption. It would have put. I was going to say is you were talking about all the shorting, the naked shorting, counterfeiting. So, I understand why FINRA and the SEC may step back, but what about the DOJ, the FBI, and the IRS? Why are they asleep? All they would take.
The number one question, who would support this? There's no taxes being paid. It destroys jobs. It destroys tax revenue outside of income, just from employees. It destroys our national security, destroys technologies that we invent, go to China. Who the hell would be on the side of all this? It's so much money, and people can't understand that it's trillions and trillions of dollars, and it goes to the elite people at the top who manage trillions. They can't get the returns without cheating, and they're not American. The Goldman Sachs, Citadel, SAC, all at Virtue, they're not American. They're citizens of the world, and they're just cheating as long as they. That's my.
Well, when politicians get like $100,000s of dollars just for speaking to these people, I mean, Hillary after the election, she got like $400,000 check for a speech she made to Goldman Sachs or something like that.
Her decision making.
Yeah, that doesn't affect your decision making. Book deals, all that. That's where it goes to. Just go all the way to the top. because they're the ones who can tell everybody to lay off.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I don't know. I can't say it happens, but this is my speculation. I speculate that the SEC, FINRA, DOJ, FBI, IRS, some of those guys get paid off. Just my speculation. I have no proof.
You don't
No
think
proof.
so? They don't get a phone call. Hey, you want your daughter to go to Harvard? We need you to go along with
Seriously,
it.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
But how else? What else makes sense other than that? There's payoffs going on to some degree.
It's corruption on a massive scale, and I will speculate it starts with the $10 billion raised for Haiti that went nowhere except into government corruption.
Well, it went somewhere. It went somewhere.
It
Maybe
didn't
not
go
where.
into Haiti.
Yeah, not where it was supposed to go.
No
but it
more
went
tracked.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, we're talking about probably like hundreds of billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars. And
the article with the toad on the front, one bourse, 1 year, $27 trillion sold of North American equities that don't exist, no taxes paid. 27 trillion out of one exchange, 1 year.
yeah, so just think about that. So if you take 1% of that, let's say it's the commission.
And it goes to Ken Griffin. It goes to Goldman Sachs. It goes to Stevie Cohen so he can buy a baseball team. And everyone
Think about this though. 1%. Let's say 1% is paid as commission. I'm putting commission in quotation marks. That's $270 billion just on that. You know, so we don't wonder why it's done, but we need somebody internally to have the balls to step forward. And I don't care if they're a whistleblower, but somebody inside to really come forward and be the hero.
We need Elliot Ness, and they don't exist. I stood in front of the SEC before I met any of you except for him, and I talked into my camera, and I told Gensler he could go down in infamy, he could go down as a hero, or just forgotten. And I think it'll either be infamy if the market crashes, or he'll just be forgotten. But he could have been a hero. No one remembers all of the FBI agents. You can't name one other than Hoover and Elliot Ness, because Elliot Ness was honest.
I remember Serpico was honest, I think.
But he was New York PD.
He was NYPD, right?
Yeah. I think there are people out there, and maybe it's a whistleblower, and maybe they just want to get rich, and that's fine with me. But there's obviously people that know, and at some point in time, I think they'll get turned. That's just my view.
I think most people on Wall Street are honest. I'd go really high.
What street did you work on? Wall Street. Everybody I know runs down the street with a knife and a patch on their arm. Where have you been?
Now you worked on the trading desk.
You got to go back out. You got to go down. You got to go into back alleys there, William. Not walk on Broadway. Are you kidding
I've
me?
always been naive, but
Yeah.
I don't think. I think the systems in place hide what is going on. And then the fact that the SEC is captured, and Gary Gensler's not there to protect you, not legal advice. He's there to protect Goldman Sachs. And I think he wants to be Secretary of the Treasury. He's an upward climber. And FINRA's there to enrich themselves. This all comes, I hate to say, as a lifelong Democrat, Bill Clinton passed this concept that Wall Street could regulate itself and would regulate itself, which is just a bunch of horseshit.
Well, they can just poorly and inadequately and bad for the public.
Right. Well, that's what they should just say. Hey, Wall Street is bad for you, but if you want to take a shot, good luck. As we used to say, take a shot. Lincoln did. That's what we used to say on Wall Street. That's the case.
I like that. That's a better joke than anyway.
That was good. That was good.
William, I just have something for Ace. I posted it today.
Full disclosure, I think.
And
oh boy,
it was about the movie The Big Short, and I think if people watch it and just think that it's equities versus the bond market, when Selena Gomez was at dice with that, excuse me, the blackjack table,
Great clip.
and she was making bets, and they started making bets off of her bets. If they have a tokenized security that people can short stocks off of that, can you imagine how big the mess is behind this?
Absolutely.
Oh man, yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's why I put that up.
It's a whole nother stack of cards, like the mortgage-backed securities.
Right,
It really is.
So just basically it's the same thing. Selena
The
Gomez.
greed knows no end because,
And
like you
that's-
pointed out, not legal advice. When you're dealing in trillions, you don't need much of a percentage to grift and become really wealthy.
No, but it's it's a disgrace. And again, and I'm sure Ace had the same experience. One, first of all, this is coming from a lawyer with the, how good reputation is of lawyers, but even the lawyers,
0.5% of the lawyers ruin it for 1.5% of you.
In Back to the Future too, they promised by 2015 they'd abolish all lawyers. I don't know what happened.
I was going to say is that even from a lawyer, lawyers think that the financial guys are corrupt. So that should tell you something.
There you go.
Sorry, William.
No, it's fine.
All right. Anyway, hopefully we'll get somebody. I know you've talked about Patrick Byrne, that he would be somebody that would target the shorts. We just need
he said when we had him on the call, he said when Trump wins, he'll end naked short selling within 2 weeks. And I believe him. He's that type of guy. So he's tied his
by the way, the rules are there, aren't they, Ham? You could just do 1 or 2 or 3 things and it's over. Like locate, settle, uptick, name your customer.
How about
all they have to do, I can end this thing in 10 minutes. Just grab that fat bastard Savvy helmets. Where'd he get the money to buy a $10 million condo? Drag him by his hair, lock him up, take his assets. The whole street will shake. That'll be the end of it. One guy.
Actually, and not legal advice. How about in court when you have a bankruptcy and a whole class of securities ceases to exist, that it has to be 1099?
I'm with that. I agree with that. I also would say that when they arrest Shabby or Snabby or whatever his name is,
Right.
they go to his house with like 15 FBI cars at like noon and a helicopter, and let everybody know that that's the future treatment. Make a display.
Absolutely. One guy, he has, there's posts where he's done stuff with Lynn. Scott, the real Scott Dodger has put up many times. He sees that the deals that Lynn invested in, Savvy was investing in. So they all do the same thing. These guys all work and they do the same deals and they do it again. Again, there's a trading desk somewhere that's handling this for this whole crew, because these guys are not. Trading is very different from what these guys do. And I don't think any of them can handle it. Zero.
To me, it looks like the same pattern. just me. By the way, what type of events do spiders like to attend?
Say that again.
What type of events do spiders? No, webbings.
Webbing, yeah. Webinars.
All right. Sorry.
I like Williams better.
Torture a little. Yeah, I didn't say any of them are good. By the way, I'll maintain. We work
occasionally.
On
you surprise me. Occasionally, you surprise me.
Yeah, volume, not quality. That's what we shoot for.
Quantity over quality.
Anything else about the GTII situation, Ham, that you want to address?
I think it's super interesting right now. Again, I never know which one's going to go first. And, the pop the other day in the stock shows you that, the bad guys are still alive. That's for sure. All right. No, if a stock is going up from 60 to 70, who the hell wants to sell it back down to 60? Richard, it's not legal advice, or Ace. If you wanted to sell your stock at 60 cents, why did you let it go to 70 if you wanted to sell it at 60? Right? What's the race? Why would you let it go up if you're just going to put it back at the same spot? And number two, Ace.
Well, let me answer that question. How about if Ace is incredibly stupid?
Well, that's what I was getting at.
He's from Austria.
Thanks, guys.
I think he needs to take off the hat and give his brains a chance. But anyway, the second thing is that when you see someone sell that, when it goes up and push it back down, that is super evidence of someone trying to hold it down. There's not even a question about it. No one sells stock like that. And remember, Ace, as a long, you can only sell your stock one time.
One time.
All right. Well, unlike the shorts. So when you see people posting, oh, those are long selling. All right. The next day, when you see the same pattern, how many times could the same long sell it with the same stupid pattern? Eventually, he'll be done. And I'll give you a quick story about that. I was told to buy Campbell's soup back at the time. Richard, it's not legal advice. Pay attention. I bought 30 million shares of Campbell's soup. Every day, I called the New York Stock Exchange and see if the seller had any more every day. The seller was a big firm out of New York called First Manhattan, very prestigious. Pat Byrne worked for him. If you go back and you'll bump into it one time in his comments. Very prestigious firm. And me, the idiot, was buying every share of Campbell's soup from them. So the smartest guy in the world was selling it to the dumbest guy. And every day I bought it saying, oh my God, this guy is 100 times smarter than me. Anyway, it was too late. I bought 30 million of it. Everybody on the street that I knew, I had to buy $1 million, $2 million. I put away the whole thing. One day we called down to the floor, Ace, and they said, guess what? I was like, what? Did they have more for sale? Because it was just every day. They said, no, they're done. And once First Manhattan was done selling, I told you the next day I got a call from Morgan Stanley. They bought all 30 million from me up $7 higher.
Oh.
So my clients made $7 30 million times.
Wow.
And First Manhattan just wanted to sell it. They had no information or anything. They just wanted to sell it. And I had to sit there and wait for them to be done. It took a month. But when they were done, the stock lifted.
They're never done now, though. They just keep
now
selling.
they're never done. So here it is. In a small stock like GTII, eventually all longs have to finish. So when you see a big seller and everyone says, oh, that's a real seller, that means the next day, well, they're still here. How much do they possibly have? And if they have that much, how come they didn't file that they own that much? If they own 5 million shares, if they're going to keep selling it. So those are the keys you figure out. That's how you know it's all fraudulent.
By the way, just for the record, I think Ace is a smart guy. I was joking.
We're just trying to pick on him. He's the youngest member.
It's
here,
okay.
so
I'm the baby. I'm the baby of the bunch.
we're trying to give him all the knowledge. So he's got he has all this knowledge. So when we disappear, he's got it all.
Yeah, he actually might be the only one amongst us that's not wearing diapers.
It depends. It depends. Not.
Depends. Nice.
He's been in the chair for 4 hours, Richard. He has a diaper on.
That's how William never gets up.
There were some questions. I'm going to shift quickly to finger motion. I don't know are you guys familiar with that particular security?
I've heard of it.
Finger motion?
Yes.
Go ahead, shoot. What do you got?
Why don't you tell us about it?
What do you want to know?
You at one point in time, and I don't know if you were just having fun or you were speculating, but you threw out the date of
November 17th.
Yes, yeah, you threw that out. Was there any significance to that date?
I just think that something big is going to happen before that.
Okay,
That's good enough for me.
That's the option expiration date, I believe.
I'm not involved in options. Somebody told me that date's an important date. That's all I know.
I thought you told everybody like every day about options and explained that to them.
I did explain it. I can't trade options for 8,000 people at a clip. I've told everybody when you buy options, you buy the expensive ones, the ones close to the money. If they pop up 30 cents, you sell them, and then you buy the cheap ones and never look at it again. But everybody went completely the opposite way, and it was a total shit show. And I just can't control it. If you own 1,000 shares, Richard, it's not legal advice. Let's say at $5, the stock goes to $6. You sell your 1,000 shares, you make $1,000, right?
Yeah.
You could take that $1,000 and for 20 days buy an option with $1,000 in profit, correct?
Right.
Not, you could hold on to your 1,000 shares at $5. You put 5,000 in your pocket, take $1,000 of profit, and you could go out and buy the $10 calls for $30 a piece and buy 300 of whatever it is, whatever the number is, whatever you can buy, 200, whatever it is, 20, 30, 40, whatever it is. And you get a free shot for a month. Never looking, the stock can go to zero. You can never lose a penny, correct?
Right.
There's 1,000 ways to play options. As long as you can do it for free, figure it out. Because we don't know the exact timing on anything. No matter what happens, your company could come out with the cure for cancer, not move. A week later, it goes up 30 points. I mean, that's just because the shorts control the game.
Yeah, unfortunately, it could come out with a cure for cancer and the stock could go down.
Yeah,
It gets shorted.
That's most likely what happened. The other day, there was this on CVM, who I happen to know the people a long time ago. I don't own the stock. And the company came out with real good news on their phase 3 and looking for approval from the FDA. The stock went from $1.10 to $2.30 on 50 million shares. That's the whole company traded. After it got to $2.30, they drove it back to $1.25, and it slowly moved back up. I heard the other day that the CEO was in negotiations or had talked to Merck, and I posted about it, and the stock went up, up to 220 again, I think it is. I'm not sure where it closed. But I'm just saying that eventually Merck is going to buy this company. They put so much money into getting the data and get everything they have. Merck can step in and buy the stock for $20. And all the money these guys probably raised, probably $500 million over the last 20 years, they get it for nothing. They get the whole company for free.
And even if they don't, they could kill, because it happened, Sorrento Therapeutics.
Right.
If they want to, Merck could just kill the drug too. They could just buy it and kill it.
Yeah.
And why?
I'm not going to go into that dark. I'm not going to that dark side. So
No.
Going to Richard's question, why do we support this as a society? Why are we standing
I will
silent?
tell you the answer in 1 second, William, because there's 4 people here that want to do it and many others that want to fight. But there's millions that would rather follow the Kardashians and see what the hell they're doing.
They have no idea.
Including Gary Gunson.
No idea. They're looking at TikTok like Ace does all day, looking at videos. All right. And that,
Doesn't look at TikTok.
and
He's making TikTok videos, I think, is what
you
he's
wanted to get everyone to band together. You'll get 50 people to show up. Longs do not unite. Shorts know that, and that's how they take advantage of it. So guys like William and Ace and Richard are important because you actually have people banding together, which drives them crazy. That's the most important thing. And education. So there you go.
Maybe over time, maybe over the next 5-10 years, it'll be, it'll spread out and it'll infect the rest of the population.
Listen,
so we'll get
by
a
that
lot more.
time, in 5 or 10 years, I'm not going to give a shit in 6 more months. That's my agenda. This is like if people don't want to band and fight together, and I appreciate what everyone's doing. I just hope everyone gets their ass wiped out. They just get crushed. And eventually they'll sit there and say, wait a second, I heard about this. I always get a kick out of it. I really don't care how many people follow me on Twitter. I really, I was doing this by myself. I did it to fight the shorts. And now I have 14,000 people. How is that not 14 million? I don't understand. I'm trying to save your pension, everything. I didn't ask you for a penny. I didn't ask you to invest, nothing. And I have 14,000 people. And I always make fun of that girl, Tara Bull. She has 700,000 people, and she, who would waste their time? She's posting nonsense. She's a great girl. I spoke to a bunch of times. But who would waste your time? Even reading what she has to say. But people do. I don't know. Got me.
You need to get an OnlyFans, Sam. That's the difference.
I wonder if I think people are afraid to accept the truth.
That's definitely part of it. They don't want to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, because if they discovered that their investments were at risk, they wouldn't sleep at night like us. They wouldn't sleep at night. And this way they don't have to bother with it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's going to happen? Somewhere along the line, even if they're not in the equity markets, they may be having or buying a property or something and get dragged down by Wall Street. Somehow Wall Street's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
bite them on the ass. I
Yep.
can't tell you what it's going to be, but they control everything, whether it's auto sales, this, whatever it may
Mhm.
be. You can go buy an electric car from where is it? Rivian? Is that the company? RVIN? So I
Yeah,
think
that is an electric car company. Yes.
right. You could go buy a car from them, and beautiful cars. I stopped in their showroom one time to look at them. Beautiful cars. You can buy it. They'll drive it out of business. Now you got a company. How the hell do you fix anything in it? Because the company's out of business. I mean, that's the type of danger that Wall Street can impose on and catch
Oh,
you.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, so it depends anything. There was a company, I think it was Second Sight. Second Sight was a company working on helping people that were blind see again. And they actually, I bet you I could find a story on that. They drove it to bankruptcy, and people who were in the middle of this treatment all lost out to try to get their vision back.
Mhm.
Because the
I mean,
company was knocked out of the box.
To me, that is so immoral.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that again, because those people eventually they're going to need whatever they put out of business, or a family member is going to need it, and they're
Well,
going to
that's
be
why
responsible for it.
That's how I started following. A family member was losing their sight, and I was reading up on it, and I bumped into it, and then I started saying they drove this company to zero, and I screamed about it for a couple of years. No one listened to me, and they drove it out of business.
Yeah, it's disgusting. Really, I mean, it is disgusting.
Well, most people, as long as they think they're okay, they're not going to get involved in other stuff. So if they think their 401k is fine and their job's secure and they can go home and watch the new Netflix show, you know, grab a pizza on the way home and everything's there and everything they've been doing for 15 years is all in line, they might see something on TV and, you know, donate to a cause or something. But until they're uncomfortable, it's just like in The Matrix when the guy Cypher, I can't remember who plays him, but great actor plays him. But he hates it. He hates reality because he's like, this is so uncomfortable. Everything sucks. And so he goes and he's like talking to the agents about getting plugged back in. And he's like, I'll give all these guys up if you plug me back in. And he eats the fake steak and he's like, I know it's not real, but I can taste it.
He was a naked short. He was a naked short.
He's like, ignorance is bliss. And that's what I've learned. Ignorance is bliss. And that's exactly what most people want. And, you know, you can't necessarily blame them for it because they don't feel the pain. But things are changing, though, because it is getting so bad in so many spots. I mean, it's only a matter of time till it affects more people.
Yeah. I mean, it appears that way. I was going to say I saw Avid. This is going back to finger motion. I saw Avid had a price. He thought the stock needs to get above 6.5. This is finger motion, by the way. The stock needs to get over 6.5 and then over 7.5 to run. Does anybody have an opinion about that?
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Means nothing.
There's no way to know.
I just think you're waiting when the Buddhas at Univest actually show their intention. It'll move.
Yeah, and again, my feeling on that is it'll move when we least expect it or when we don't know, and that's why it's going to
They're
move.
not doing it for us.
No. Nor, yeah.
Ham and William too, if you have an answer to this. Is it possible that eventually, like the mortgage-backed securities in 2008, that even without a catalyst, it just collapses under the weight of its own insanity?
Yes.
Yes. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you imagine, if you just make the stock market Mrs. O'Leary's 1,000 shares of Exxon, that's the entire market. They've lent that 1,000 shares out, rehypothecated, shorted it, stuffed it in everyone's IRA account. And you and me, we look, hey, it's black and white. I can sell. I got my cash. I'm rich.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually that's an upside down pyramid. And there's too many claims on Mrs. O'Leary's 1,000 shares. And it won't be sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, for several years, to helicopter bend and onward, they've been flooding the markets with trillions of dollars. And now we're going to war. It'll be more trillions of dollars. That's enough to bail out the banksters.
Mhm.
That $1 trillion saves everybody, but that's coming to an end. So yeah, I think it can end in a heartbeat. And I think it'll be the bond market first because they're doing the same shit in the bond market.
Mm.
Don't think it's just GTII.
No, of course not.
No,
It's
no,
gold,
no.
silver, houses.
Wherever it can be done.
Wherever it can be done. Exactly.
done.
Yeah.
They've
Again,
turned
and-
everything into a high frequency commodity trade. And why the F do you need high frequency trading in stocks that have a $5 million market cap?
Right.
What the hell?
Well, it's harder to steal money if you don't.
Good point.
There's a good answer, always. Okay, so we talked anybody else, any other comments on finger motion?
No, I just think that everyone needs to pay attention to the word special dividend again. Pay attention, Richard, not legal advice.
Did you say special dividend?
Special
Write it down.
dividend.
Is that with an
We're
S?
gonna
and
make
a
it.
T?
We're gonna make it different. There's gonna be a different
That sounds
twist. to
like the
special dividend.
same old pattern. I think the thing you have to focus on with finger motion is on September 11th. They filed the S1 or S2 or S3 or S4, whatever S that named Univest. But,
Yeah.
you know, I think Univest moves with the slow motion of the Chinese Communist Party. And it'll just take time. But when it happens, good Lord, you better be in it because it'll be
William,
over.
how much money was it for? 300 million? The
300 million with a
$300
$25 million sub.
So I don't know if
delegate.
anybody knows this, but raising big money is a something takes a little time to do.
Takes a little time.
I assume, right, William? I don't know.
Unless you're a naked short seller.
You just sell the stock in the back market and
Right.
cry to the CEO that it's not you.
Well, the company came out and said that they're not raising money down here. Univest is saying they're raising the money, but we don't know where. So when it goes, they raise the money. That's it. The company's listen. The company's fundamentals. This is a tremendous trap, because to me, the company's fundamentals are strong,
Yeah.
and it's not. This isn't the typical small cap stock. A gentleman said he spoke with the IR guy the other day, and he said the company was cash flow positive now. So they're making money. All right, they're in the black. There's no more guessing. There's no more stories like, what's the guy's name? William?
Oh, Mike Dion. Yeah.
He said the company has no clear path to profitability, correct?
And that's Canberra as well said that.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's their game. So all the doors are being shut there. Mark Bazile has subpoenaed the Wix. I think it's called Wix. Am I right, Ace? Wix.
Yeah. Wix.
That's
Website.
That's who's hosting their website. Their lawyers contacted him, and he said that he will get that information shortly. They want nothing to do with whatever criminal activity is going on here. So, when Mark gets it, I'm sure he'll tell us and he'll put it out in a press release. But, that's what I spoke to him. That's what he said. That's the protocol for that. So that's what he told me.
And hopefully it'll shut up others who had maybe have second thoughts now that they'll have to hire lawyers and it'll cost them money.
After Capybara, is that the right one? Capybara. Then he's going after, obviously, the easy one is going to be Benzinger. Benzinger posted a negative report that was filed by no author, nobody. No, it was just someone put up 12 sentences on his site, and they don't know where it came from. So he either has an email or a contributor that sent it to him. He's a preferred distributor information to all the big brokerage firms. So they're using Benzinger, Richard, to distribute information to all the brokerage firms. So when there's this negative story, it pops up on everyone's platform.
Right.
And little finger motion has exposed this little gap, and I didn't know it until we found it out. But Jason at Benzinger is the gatekeeper who knows who's doing how many more of these companies they've done it to.
It's an interesting name, by the way, Benzinger, but whatever. But TD Ameritrade said that they don't even screen them. They just post them. They don't
They
look at
are-
them.
Ben,
So, like,
The algorithm
and
starts
I thought
creating
about that.
around the headlines.
Well, I thought about how ridiculous that could be. What happens if the post was the head of TD Ameritrade is a sex offender? You're telling me they don't even look?
Not legal advice. They will take down a bank in 2 hours, maybe even Goldman Sachs when they turn on each other.
Mhm.
And they'll use the same tricks.
Yeah. Well,
they
anyway,
did- Richard, if you go out and look at what Lehman Brothers, Dick
Mhm.
Fole said, they're naked shorting us. That's what he said. That's the chairman of Lehman before they knocked him out. They did it to Bear Stearns. They did it to him. They did it to United Airlines. They did it to Deandron. They did it to Taser. They did it to Krispy Kreme. Blah, 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 blah. I can't even
There's a lot of questions going on Finger and raising money at these prices and all that. I think you just have to ask yourself, why did they go as high as 300 million? To me, there can only be 2 or 3 things. One, they're going to do a joint venture with someone. And in China, that essentially means the Chinese government. 2, they're going to acquire somebody. Or maybe they get acquired. But what if the announcement is that Pacific Re is going to put in $30 million, and then Univest is going to have China
Mobile.
CNOC, the oil company, put in $100 million. I'm trying to make it up, but that's what's coming. They're working in the background. They
You
didn't
can't do
announce
anything
300
unless
million because there's
and-
nothing big coming.
Listen, in the equity market, you have to, unfortunately, as a public company, you have to file and show your intentions before you do it.
Right.
The shorts go after it as a negative. Oh my God, they're raising money. No one said they're raising money. They just go out there and the stock, Richard, Tom, Indian, Oscar, okay, West Christian was retained by them. I closed my eyes and I'm thinking of all the details here, but I think it was Wainwright, the brokerage firm, called up the company and offered them money. And they had all their short sellers selling it before they went to the company. The company said no. The stock turned from $1, I think it went to $5. Okay, they caught all these guys shorting, thought that Wainwright was going to get the company to do a secondary, and they said no. So these guys were all short. Then, because they were short and all trapped, they brought in Hindenburg. They hired a real gun to go out there and destroy the company. All right, that's the big boy. Hindenburg became the new Andrew Left or Carson Black. So Hindenburg came out with their story. Hindenburg was just beating up Carl Icahn, dropped down. It's like a race, a horse race, Richard. They went from a stake horse. They went to a claiming $20,000 claiming stock, which is TIO, which is complete nothing compared to a Carl Icahn stock. But they must have got paid cash, write a story, get it out, because we need to knock this thing down because we're all trapped. And that's what they did. The stock went from 5 to 70 cents, and I think it's languishing around 80. And that was a group of people that trapped themselves. And West Christian is involved in that case.
Okay. I don't want to keep you guys too much longer. I noticed there was a question about, and because obviously I appreciate your time and whatever, but you guys are, you're on the East Coast, and I don't want you guys to not get your beauty sleep. Somebody asked about GTI dividend. Anybody have a opinion?
Well, obviously, it's turned into a shit show, which I've always told everybody it's going to happen. Brokerage firms are now in the stage of committing security fraud because they actually are doing an unregistered offering. They're putting stock into people's accounts, or if they don't have it, they're telling you they're making up stories about the delays.
Right.
Or C, they're doing something where you have to pay them so they can give you your dividend. You'll get a physical cert, but you'll never be able to put it back in the system because the only person who will take that stock will be Alpine, and they're basically going out of business. So you're in a catch-22, and that's what your broker's doing to you because you got a free dividend. Think about that.
And I hope everybody gives their broker a hard time about that, because that's
it takes you 10 minutes. Have fun with it. Record them. Why not? You're doing something that is earth-shattering. That's what this is all about. what you're doing is you're getting to see how Wall Street gets around fraud and how they're just trying to cover it up. Each brokerage firm has a different story.
Yeah.
Everyone's calling me, and I'm like, I can't even keep track of all of them anymore. There's
No,
so
it's
many.
crazy.
I noticed it when we were doing MMTLP. They would literally just make it up as they went along, and the story would change. There would be no logic to the change. And you're
Mhm.
right. Every brokerage had their own deal, and that's kind of what they went by. But it was to avoid it all was common that they all wanted to avoid responsibility, and they found some logic for doing that when there was no logic.
But they break
avoiding.
apart the shareholders. The shareholders don't unite, okay? So we have to figure out a way to unite everybody so that we can go after these characters. But what do we need? We need lawyers with deep pockets willing to take on the deepest pockets,
Right.
and they'll just drag us to court. William will have a beard. He'll look like Abe Lincoln there soon. That's how far down it will be, because that's what the game is. I've been doing this 23 years. They drag it on. My good friend, who's a very powerful lawyer, he said this is a political hand grenade, and no one wants to have this explode on them, because how do they explain it to everyone that on their watch that this mess happened? That's just what it is.
Well, just my second initial hearing in my fidelity arbitration on MMTLP is November 21. So we'll see if we can kind of push things along with those jokers.
All right, William,
Jokers
you got that
being
November
nice.
21, William, and the 29th. You got plenty to do. Make a note of that. We'll keep you busy.
Where they eat Thanksgiving dinner.
And then quickly before I kind of get
You'll never get the numbers. That'll be my prediction.
Oh, well, maybe, but I'm going to certainly try. And, my client is very understanding. So, before I kind of get your last take on the out, I was going to say MMTLP, there appears to be, because this is public information, there are letters that went to Congress back and forth. There's obviously a lot of pressure and activity. So I'm hoping that will result in a resolution. That's about as much as I'll say. I have more information than that, but of all the time since we started, this seems to be the closest we've been to a resolution. So I'll leave it at that. So that's a positive
pretty powerful for you to say.
I know.
That is, you took off your legal hat for that one, I guess.
I did. I'm a shareholder on that one.
You don't think it's going to be 2 days of trading?
I'd be surprised.
That's a disaster. The shorts want 2 days of trading.
I'll put it this. I would say this way: if I were on the short side, I wouldn't want that, because that would give me like unlimited risk.
No,
and I'd want.
There isn't anything there. MMTLP isn't anything.
It's not.
Richard, they'll do is when they open it up, if they give you 2 days of trading, they won't let anyone buy it. So it'll just be a sell only situation.
Right.
So you don't want that. So don't fight for that.
Yeah.
That's
no.
crap.
Yeah. I'm hoping that everybody gets what they deserve. And as to that 2 days of trading, I don't know what's going to happen. I'd just be surprised if that was the outcome. But I'm more optimistic than I have been in 11 months. So that part's
2
good.
days of trading, the shorts got a lot of result for the money they've spent on Twitter interferers. But anyway, let's
Ace,
see
quick
what
question, Ace.
Yep.
49ers play. They play this week.
We had a bye week. So we just got Chase Young last week, and now we're just sitting on it till next week.
Being pretty quiet, so I assume that the team has been not playing, or you.
Yeah, we have bye week. We're on a bye week.
And I know FSU is in the top 4, so right now they're in the playoff, right?
Don't jinx me. Look at.
I'm sorry.
Look at it.
He's trying to deflect to the Niners here. Hey, I think this question is pretty important because it's come up a couple times in the chat, but I think this is good for Ham. There's people nervous that Finger, because the Lind lawyers brought some up to him, that Finger would make a deal with Lind. Do you think any way that's happening?
Yes, I just saw them in an alley in New York City. They're making a deal. Whoever said that, I'm going to tell you. I'll tell them straight out. Whoever told you that, you ready? They're a fucking idiot. That's the stupidest statement I've ever heard in my life. All right.
So you don't think it's true, in other words?
That is the stupidest
in English.
That is the most. I don't even want to use that word. It is the most. I can't even. That's stupid.
There have been CEOs that have made deals with the shorts, but it
There's
won't
no
be
way that's
fingered.
happening.
It
I
won't be
guarantee
fingered.
you that'll never happen. You heard the
It
word.
will not be fingered.
It will not.
I didn't think so either. I just wanted you to answer it because I saw it several times in the chat.
Yeah, and I would be very surprised too. So we're all united on that.
Why go this far with it if that was going to be the end goal? There's just no.
I know finger 5 years.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that anybody who's saying that is an idiot. So
Yeah, I
tell them to leave your chat and go do something else. Sell your stock and move on. That's idiotic.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if the CEO gave us the finger, to be honest. So,
it's the best one you made up. That was
thank you. All right. Anything else anybody wants to say before I let you fine gentlemen go?
Ace, thank you very much for exposing the Dumbo, whoever said that. But anyway, I hope it wasn't you. Anyway, listen, guys, have a great night.
Thank you, Ham. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, guys, have a great night.
So
Thank you.
all those colleges that you were talking about, that was all football?
Yeah. Have a good night. I'm out of here.
William, anything you want to say on the out?
I mean, you do a great job. You guys are always classy, not legal advice, and Ace always unflappable. Whatever it means. I've never learned what flappable means.
Yeah, either did I.
I was just thrown around out there. Yeah, you can be unflappable, but not flappable, I guess.
My dog's lips are flappable.
But the only thing I think people should keep in mind for the end of the year is there's going to be tax loss selling. So anyway, we don't have to talk about it now, but we'll talk about ways to make money for that. Lock in losses. For example, when you get a settlement with MMTLP, it doesn't all have to be taxable, but it's also just to move. Don't stand like a statue, like Ham always says. Try to make some adjustments to your portfolio. I think there's going to be huge opportunities to buy 6 or 7 or 8 of these companies in the last 2 weeks of December. And you might have a trade for the January effect. So anyway, I think there's good things ahead. And but unfortunately, I see selling for tax reasons over the next 6 weeks or so.
Thank you. How about Ace?
I mean, similar to William, I think that I'm watching the economy really closely is what I'm watching, especially a lot of the indicators. Bond market was brought up. That's one of them. Treasuries, what's going on in Japan, and then even here at home. And it's not looking good. It's not looking good. I'm looking at right now, even at a chart that shows the M2 money supply is contracting at the deepest levels ever seen. That's liquidity just being drug out of the system. And they just can't print like they did in the past. They can't, or unless they want to face hyperinflation. And hyperinflation, that's how politicians get voted out. So they don't want to see that. I don't think they'll print the same. So they're in this rock and a hard place spot. And I just think we're on the verge of a major market correction. And I think that those of us in these stocks, it's good for us because that's the kind of thing that breaks them. That's the kind of thing that breaks mortgage-backed securities in 2008 and now this. So along with the companies fighting for us and whatever they're doing, we who are prepared can reap the benefits of this and hopefully position ourselves to also expose them in the process. So that's where I think we're at. I think there's rough several months coming ahead for our country. But I think that if we do it the right way, most of us can come out of it in a much better place. So
thanks. Thank you, Ace. Thank you, William.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Ham, there. And enjoyed it. Thanks. I always enjoy listening to you. And obviously everybody listened to Ace and William. And not. Okay. Everybody. But enjoyed it. Have a great week. I'm sure we'll be talking during the week.
We need to invent a system for us for not legal advice when he's on where we can block the jokes. Like
I was just going to say that. Censor.
Right. That would be a great app. The joke block app. I'm up for it.
Maybe with AI now, we can predict when he's about to unleash one and just say
That's right. Anyway, thanks again for a great
Thank you
conversation.
very much, Richard.
Thanks,
And
Matt,
we'll
for hosting.
see you during the week.
All right, have a good day, guys.
Richard.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to
Take care.
everybody else. All right.
Good night.